Welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And even though we're going hardcore DC, it's one of those ones, well, you brought it up to me as we kind of started the show, and I saw it right beforehand, that we lost, as Marvel goes, we lost Black Panther.
Chadwick Boseman, yeah, 43, and it's just, I mean, I know that today, we're, like you said, Spencer, we're mostly focusing on DC stuff, but I feel like we've got to at least mention that because that is our wheelhouse. We even talked about Black Panther. We talked about if a new Marvel movie comes out, we both see it and we talk about it on the show. And yeah, that's just every so often. I mean, it's not like I had a heavy connection with that actor or anything. It's not like, because every so often you lose like a celebrity that hits you hard. Like Chris Cornell was probably the one that I took the hardest, him and Robin Williams. But I know how important he is to so many people, especially Black Panther fans. And I just, and he did a fantastic job. I don't think he could have got anyone better to play Black Panther, really. Well,
and the kind of, this is the bummer I always just kind of think, is he was just starting to get to this role of kind of like playing these big movies. Like, he was, at the point where it's like, oh, he's starring in a movie like every handful of months. You know what I mean? And it's just like, so it felt like he just finally, like, after all the years, obviously been acting his whole life, but like he got to that point where it's like, hey, I'm knocking out starring roles and so on. It's such a kind of a bummer when you're like, oh, right there. But I guess at the end of the day, you still got all these great movies under your belt anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sad. He was only 43. There's so much. I mean, shit. You look at how in shape he is, and you're like, he had cancer?
Hey, I had cancer too, so it doesn't matter how hard you work out.
I know, there's no real barometer for it, but at the same time, it's just one of those things now. It's like, all right, I gotta start eating less red meat, more vegetables, I guess.
Whoa. Don't you ever dare put the red meat down.
Not forever.
That is more. I mean, the only reason why cancer might feed a little bit off of red meat, and this is where I think those vegans take it and run with it, is the fact that, like, just like how red meat will build your muscles up, the cancer also likes to build its muscles up by, taking its properties too. But it's not the red meat that ever causes cancer. That is a big misconception.
Yeah, I know. I was just talking out my ass. But I was just meaning in general, just seeing all these, like, luckily you, of course, you beat it. So, but at the same time, just something like, I guess when every so often there's those actors, you don't expect it coming at all. Mm-hmm. So just like, Jesus Christ. So it is really sad. And, but, yeah.
Yeah. When it's just like that, it's just like those ones are just like out of the blue too. And it's just like, oh, whoa, what the heck? I mean, granted, like, who knows how, like, that could have been one of those things that could have been like, a process that he kind of kept to himself. You never know how that kind of goes. I mean, it's not like everybody's kind of got it like, okay, let me see, when I go to the new Marvel movie, I want to see the medical records of everybody too at the same time.
I mean, this isn't me trying to be funny, but I bet right now there's some exec at Disney or Marvel punching a hole in the wall, screaming "fuck." I know that's happening right now. Well, I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to be funny about it, but but at the same time, it's just like whoever comes up next to fill in that role, because it's not like, well, and I guess we're not going to make any more movies of that character for a while. No, they are, but whoever has, he's going to have trouble measuring up to Chadwick Boseman. So.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, that's always kind of how it is too. But yeah, I know that's one of those ones. Like, that was such like an out of the blue, like, oh, whoa, what the fuck, like, huh? And it's just one of those ones where it's like, I mean, I guess like the upside. I think now, what about Black Panther 2? I always just kind of wondered, like, how far along was that? Like, I know.
I don't think they started filming yet. I don't think they did, at least.
I wasn't too sure if that was supposed to be like. I mean, since the movie theaters and stuff all got shut down, everything's like on a little bit of the hiatus. But I didn't know if that one was one of those ones that was supposed to be like, if everything went according to plan, coming out 2001. I mean, 2021, 2001. Shit, we're going back in time already.
There were. I knew which one you meant. There are rumors that, I mean, who knows? Like, rumors come out, and then we see the movie, and like, well, it was a fraction right, or wasn't right at all. They're saying that Doctor Doom was possibly going to be the villain for that movie, seeing as Black Panther was first introduced through Fantastic Four. Yeah, so they're talking about that, but who knows what's going to happen now or how they do. For a while, they're saying it's going to be Submariner. So, but
kind of cool, but
I'll take Doctor Doom any day over Submariner. So
yeah,
I'd rather have Aquaman than Submariner. Fuck Submariner.
Yeah, Submariner definitely is. Yeah, running around his panties, just free balling it practically. But yeah, no. Total bummer right there. As I said, he just kept coming out with all these big action movies and then starring roles. But I guess it's better to be in a handful of movies than to not be in any movies at all. And I think that's just sort of the best way to sometimes look at those kind of things.
Well, plus being something as big as Black Panther and make a huge movement with that, and that movie there, it's just how he's basically kind of like. He's almost kind of like the Black Christopher Reeves to a certain extent. Well, Christopher Reeves lived a lot longer but was in a wheelchair, but you know what I mean? Just one of those people, is no matter how many Supermans come out, whether you like Henry Cavill or Brandon Routh or whatever, everyone's going to be going well, it ain't Christopher Reeves, and I think something's going to be happening for a while, well, it ain't Chadwick Boseman.
Then there's always that really old guy who's well, it ain't George Reeves, and that's the only Superman in my book.
Yeah, right.
But I guess here going on, this is sort of a lighter note. There was our buddy Kyle, who's in Pizza Boys, and he found him and his fire crew found this lost dog in their Fresno fire department because that's where he's working at the moment, and Miley Cyrus came and adopted the dog from him. Holy
shit! Really?
Yeah.
Just Miley Cyrus just happened to be in Fresno.
Well, that's kind of hard too. It's just you don't just stop over. This fire department. It's not even it's right off the freeway. You know what I mean? It's you got to kind of get into Fresno a little bit. But
I wonder if that's where Kyle just played his character from Pizza Boys, or if it was just literally a matter of yo, you want this dog? Or if he was starstruck dot.
Oh, well, you probably would have said something. They might even held Kyle back a little bit. You don't know.
Just put Kyle in the room.
Yeah, he's just gonna say something. We just know it.
Oh well, that's interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, at least this dog is on our lighter notes finding a home. A home.
Dog will be living better than either of us for the rest of its life.
Yeah, dog will live in glory. Even if Miley Cyrus is gone for a year, that dog is still living in the laps of luxury. You know what I mean? There's gonna be somebody there, no matter what, to pet that dog 24/7.
So if I look for Miley Cyrus adopts dog or whatever, then we're gonna see a picture of Kyle in the background giving thumbs up or some shit.
Yeah, I had to sort of find it on the Central Valley news section because some of those ones just do the I saw some of the news reports, they just literally cut all the firefighters out. They're yeah, I don't know, some people that do a job or something found the dog, but that's not the important part. Let's just keep showing the same picture of Miley Cyrus over and over with just her and the dog and get the firefighters out of there.
I can definitely see that type of shit, especially, plus just all the firefighters right now that are saving California from all these fucking wildfires. I mean, for a minute, I actually literally had to evacuate.
I know, Ryan had his first evacuation.
My first evacuation. I'm hoping we don't have it again, but yeah, first evacuation. And basically, was, just there's that internal fear you get when you're in a motel the night you evacuate. Okay, let's hope this happens. Right now, we're still in evacuation warning, but after a week of living in hotels and stopping at Sonora for a second to say hi, then bouncing back, we're back in our place, but fire's under more control, but we'll see what happens,
Yeah, it's one of those ones that, it's my whole life since I've lived out in the woods, evacuations seem to happen, I always feel every, 6 or so years, and you almost, I remember being, a kid. I remember it was almost, the very first time I was ever evacuated, and it was just, I was probably, 6 or something. It was okay, you grab, a couple things, and you're well, and then I remember, because, this felt this was almost, a good starting show of, good-natured child behavior, because one of the few things I grabbed is I grabbed a Johnny Quest VHS that I rented from the store, because in my mind, I was well, that stuff over there is mine, but this is somebody else's, so I can't just leave this here.
So it's just on the worst case scenario where your house did burn down, you and your family are just in a hotel crying, what are we going to do? And they're just suddenly Door cracks open, like, yeah, so we're so sorry this has happened, but
that Johnny Quest VHS.
real Adventures of Johnny Quest, so it's not going to be cheap.
Actually, it was even rarer. It was the '80s Johnny Quest.
80s Johnny Quest shit.
It was one of those, like, there's like 2 or 3 like movies that they released from like the late '80s to the early '90s, like right before the real Adventures.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those ones. So, like, God knows where you'd find that VHS nowadays.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just grabbed a bag of clothes on my computer and some, like, flash drives for the comic I'm working on, so, yeah.
Well, it's different when you're older. Like, when you're 6 years old, you're like, I need my wishbone fucking stuffed animal, because God forbid, what am I going to do about that? Give me that
my
pocket
Sonic the
knife.
Hedgehog figurine.
Yeah, the Sonic the Hedgehog figurine from Burger King, from McDonald's, because, they probably don't have any more there.
Yeah.
Like that,
so
that kind of thought process as a child.
Just going down the list and like, well, I can bring the Game Boy. I can bring all the games to the Game Boy. Game Gear, we're going to need that's going to take up the whole back seat, so.
Yeah, and the batteries, we got to be conservative about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's taken us a little bit of time to get to our podcasting, is with all like the hubbub of fires and so on. Even here at my house, I just like the downfall is I remember like I literally like it sounds so weird, but there was like I was like, oh, they got the Xbox, for $1, the Xbox Gold with, the Game Pass and everything like that. Perfect. I'll play some Gears of War. I literally buy that, and 2 seconds later, this fire starts up, and it's just like, oh, there goes all the service, so I don't plan on using that at all anytime soon. And I literally made the joke to our buddy Cameron or whatever. He came over and I'm like, if I didn't buy that Xbox Game Pass, that fire would have never started. You know what I mean? It's all my fault. Fucking, I'm here to blame.
Shame on you.
Shame. I burnt up that whole Chinese camp area just because I bought that. It was just like one server went up. It was just like, oh shit, we didn't have enough room for that.
Someone just had to play Gears of War right now. And then,
throw that cigarette butt out the window. It's the only way we're going to cool this thing down.
No, I wasn't going to say regarding something to that effect.
It sounds like one of those weird movie things. Like, we got a moving server in a truck. Well, why is it in a truck? I don't know. It's got to always be moving.
Does sound like some weird plot device from the early 2000s, or like the late 90s before they knew, like, well, we heard of this internet thing. We don't entirely know how it works yet.
Yeah, it's always moving. And see, I understand that it needs to be cooled, so it cools like a Volkswagen car. It's got an air coolant. So it's like, maybe you should stop writing about computers you don't know.
I'm just filling in the blanks.
He's one of those ones, but yeah.
All this is the reason we have a chance to do I'll say this: we're going to do Enter the Dragon to try and finish up the Bruce Lee thing. But the thing is, like, I watched it, and literally the minute I was done watching it, that's when the evacuation started. Like, I don't remember it well enough, but in that time, I did see the Deathstroke thing as well as three Jokers, the first issue. So maybe that.
I know this brings us close to just like the podcasting world, but Home Video Hustle, I was like, no, they got the Enter the Dragon one out before us. We were doing so good. Except for, I don't know if they had a Way of the Dragon one yet, though. I don't remember seeing that pop up, but maybe they did. They skipped ahead. Well, we sort of cheated in the sense that way, too. So we're like, here's an old episode.
We did Way of the Dragon like 2 years ago or something, yeah.
Let's get DC with it. We're going to jump into, let's go with Deathstroke first. We'll start off with that, because DCU has once again blessed us like it has for like the 55th time or something like that. Another animated film.
Yeah, I'm going to say this right off the bat. This is, DC, when it comes to Marvel or DC, I still really like Marvel, but I'm always more of a DC guy. But this is a case where this is probably one of the weaker animated DC movies, and it's not god-awful, but it's not by any means great, in my opinion. I think that the animation looks cool, and the action is cool, but at the same time, I guess when I think DC, I think of really good, like the animated stuff at least, as well as comics. I think the writing's really good, the story's really good, and I feel like whoever was making this, they were trying to, test the waters and try and make him more of an anti-hero. And maybe at some point they tried that in the comics and he was an anti-hero or did something nice for someone, like held the door open or some shit. I don't know. But this one, I was just like, I don't feel like this is Deathstroke. I don't know. Just me.
I personally fucking loved it, like, because I remember you told me that, and you're like, oh man, it's just like one of my least favorite of the DCU ones. And I was like, huh, okay. We were kind of talking about like, like them making Deathstroke a little bit nicer and everything like that. And then I was watching, I was like, dude, this thing's fucking badass, dude. Like the action in it, like he's just murdering people left and right, and there's blood and guts everywhere, and it's like one of those ones, like shit. There's a part where there's fucking sharks eating people and whatnot.
Yeah, and the thing is, the action is badass, but I feel like you can get badass action from nearly any other DC movie. And by this point, we have had violence in these direct-to-DVD DC films. It's just, it was one of those things where if they want to try and do that thing, because, all right, to be fair, like Deadpool, who's a ripoff of Deathstroke originally, was a villain. He wasn't a good guy. He was a villain, and he had some funny one-liners. And then eventually they had more emphasis on the comedy. And because they had more emphasis on the comedy, they made him more likable. And they basically kind of swept all this horrible villainous shit he did under the rug, or retconned it or something. And now he is a full-on like anti-hero / good guy. This one, they're trying to almost like Deathstroke. He's like, I don't kill children. It's like, motherfucker, your main antagonists for you are fucking kids, Teen Titans. That's where you got your start, dude.
Yeah, your Deathstroke, the Terminator. And I will say, though, because when I was watching it, there's only like one part that where Deathstroke kind of, like, softens up, and it's like when he finds, like, oh, God, what the hell's that guy's name? But,
Jericho?
Yeah, Jericho. No, not Jericho. Jericho's his son. That's the guy who, like, captures his son and daughter,
I'm already drawing a blank on his name.
Whatever. When he meets that guy, and he's talking to him, and he's just, that's the only time where he's like, well, I only do things for, like,
Jackal.
Yeah, Jackal. They only got J names. But that was the only part where he had that thing. He's like, well, all my things are, like, important people. He's like, yeah, they're people that have families, fucking Deathstroke. They're like, well, not anymore. Broken families now. But I think it's that weird thing that, like, sometimes I kind of realize this. It's weird how, like, when you go to sell violence, you like sometimes it's like there's like these weird little fine lines that sometimes you can't step over. Like I almost feel like especially for something like DC or a bigger company, like they can't make a character who's just like literally, like if they just made Deathstroke just be going in there and just have no fucking rhyme, or like, you got $20, I'll shoot him in the fucking head. Like it's almost like they can't sell that as a main character. I always kind of wonder if they're always too afraid, like almost like, is this going too far? If they kind of pull back and just say, well, he's got just enough moral ground to kind of like make it okay, then he could kill these other people and it's fine and it's that weird thing of like how to sell violence. You know what I mean?
I wasn't even thinking of that. That's a good point, but at the same time, I feel like this felt like to me, because the action was cool and the violence is cool, and I guess if that's all you're wanting,
I mean, like
that's fine.
Action movies, like I could be sold pretty well on good violence.
But at the same time, I think that Deathstroke's a character where I haven't read a whole lot of solo Deathstroke. Most of the time I read Deathstroke, he's a villain in someone else's book, and there's been times where he had to team up with the Justice League because there's a bigger threat or whatever. But and maybe in recent comics, maybe they are trying to do the Deadpool thing, where he's more of an anti-hero than an actual villain. But I mean, at some point in the comics, I want to say I don't know if he kills Jericho, but he basically writes Jericho off. Rose basically abandons her at some point and says, "You're not my daughter." Then she stabs herself in the eye. He's like, "I am your father, daddy," or whatever the fuck. I don't know. The whole time I was just watching this, and plus, like, they were throwing in some weird oddball characters. They threw in a Hive. And I'm going to give a spoiler here. And I don't think it's that big of a spoiler, because it's kind of obvious, but it's just more his reaction is like, what? It's like, at some point, Jackal says, all right, fight Bronze Tiger and this random lady. Maybe that's a character from something that I don't know of. And I like Bronze Tiger. I always thought he was pretty cool. To me, he always came across as more redeemable. Like, if there was going to be kind of a flip, I feel like it would be Bronze anti-hero, go back and forth. As far as Tom King's run, man, Bronze Tiger and Batman actually are kind of friends. They just happen to be on the opposite sides. Yeah. So when he like cuts off Bronze Tiger's arm and kills that lady, and pauses for a second, like, all right, that's somebody. That's his daughter or his wife or whatever. And later, he's like, you killed my daughter! It's just like, fuck you, dude. You, like, sent her after him. It's like, fuck you and your dead-ass daughter.
Well, this movie totally is like, I was calling it Dadstroke the whole time, because it's literally just like Deathstroke kind of being like, I'm going to learn to be a better father. And sort of like, I kind of took it this way. It's like, this is how I sort of accept this movie. It's like, okay, here's Deathstroke, like, way later in life. He's, like, now super fucking old and whatnot. And, like, he's like, I used to hunt kids and try to kill them. And now I'm trying to change because I got myself a kid. And, you know, he at some point, he's going to go from a kid to a teen titan. And when they're in that teen titan age, I just don't know how to, you know, I got to learn how to adjust to them, you know, because mostly I'm used to trying to, like, you know, capture them and hold the other one for ransom and short-circuit Cyborg and grab Robin by his fucking cape and slap him upside the head. So I can't do that with my own son. Would be weird parenting.
I'm also thinking, like, I think of that dad stroke. It's kind of like if it was the situation, like, okay, here's Deathstroke trying to be a dad. He has to teach the Little League team or some shit. Like, you have the Little League picture of all the kids, and he's still standing there, like, in full, like, armored and mask. Just happens to be wearing the baseball hat with it.
It's like the Bad News Bears, but with Deathstroke. His Buttermaker.
Only if you lose, he cuts off the limb.
Yeah, there's no fucking, like, hey, we played a good game and went the distance type thing. No fucking shit. There's no prize money at the end. He's not in for it.
Instead, rather than the whole, like, you know, we'll get them next year thing. Like, all right, kids, see you on the bus. All the kids get in the bus, just blows that thing up.
Just credits roll. I'm going to Japan to get a new team.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's the sequel, isn't it?
Yeah. Bad News Bears goes to Japan. I think it's the third one, technically, but, I will say also, like, the kids in this version, like, Jericho and, what's her face? Rose, yeah. They almost gave me, like, a Loreline and, like, Valerian type feel. You know, like that French comic that had a movie at one point that just kind of disappeared in America.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I think it was just too French for, like, Americans, so kind of just disappeared.
I think Luke Benson was also like, oh, shit, I made that, didn't I?
Yeah, he's like, well, it probably did super well in France, because it's probably like, oh, shit, that's like our fucking Avengers over there.
It probably did. Well, I know that was one of the things that inspired...
Maybe in French Canada, it did pretty well, but...
That was somebody I was making jokes. He was actually trying to get that thing made for years, because a lot of the sci-fi things he was making had inspirations for that. But I know that was one of the inspirations for George Lucas. But it's just all that weird shit that wasn't coming to, like, Americans like, you fucking nerd, and then, like, he's like, you know what? That's the only thing about those kind of movies is the, like, your John Carters, your Valerians, like, all that stuff. Like, it's not that it shouldn't be made, or like, what's the point? But it's one of those things where Star Wars and so many other movies after Star Wars have pulled from that. So if you're just following it very strictly by that, then you got to do a lot to make it stand out and make people give a shit, you know?
Yeah, well, that's always the thing, too, is, like, sometimes you'll have movies that sort of rip off, like, ideas from, like, those kinds of stories, and then by the time they finally get made, it almost makes that one look like the ripoff, though yet that was technically the original.
Pretty much. I mean, it was far from perfect, and everyone else seemed to hate it. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I think this had some good ideas, but it just wasn't executed right.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it.
That one I felt okay. I thought Valerian, I was like okay with it. I wasn't blown away. I thought John Carter was one where it's just like, you know what, this could have been a lot better, but I think in concept there are some cool things. I mean, you know, sword and sandal sci-fi movie sounds cool. We don't see that too often, but at the same time, I think just story beats, you gotta know what to mix around and what to pull from and how to present it. But yeah, they're also mixing a bunch of shit at once too. But
yeah.
Anyway, back to Deathstroke.
Yeah, but back to Dadstroke. But I don't know, those kids, because, like, they have that weird kid really. Because I remember in the Valerian, the same thing is it feels like that thing where the brother and sister almost are, like, a little too good of, like, friends, I guess you could kind of say. Like, that's almost like how, like, Deathstroke's kids are. Like, they almost just seem like, hey, we're brother and sister, but, you know, we sleep in the same bed naked. But it's not weird. It's like, what?
Wait, so
that is fucking
how did that
weird.
Remind you of, like, Lorelai and Valerian? Because they're like,
in that one though, weren't they brother and sister that felt like super close brother and sister? Like,
No, there were a couple.
Oh, they were a couple in that? Well, maybe that's the reason.
Yeah,
I thought they were brother and sister this whole time.
Some point, she's like in a bikini, and he flips her around onto the same bed as him or some shit.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
look, I hope they're not a couple.
Well, that was like, it's French, you know what I mean? Maybe it's okay to be like that. Yeah. So that was thinking the whole time.
Your sister.
We're in space, you know what I mean?
Don't make it weird. It's family vacation. Fuck off.
Yeah, I thought it was like Valerian, and the tagline was "Keep it in the family." Well, whatever. Those kids still remind me of the Valerian kids, even if they aren't fucking related. They kind of had that same, like, you know.
There is that weird thing they try to, because, you know, you could have like a good relationship with either brother or sister, but there's that thing when they're so close, like, it's okay, I'm here, you know, just like, all right.
Yeah.
I still have trouble believing Lady Shiva would get killed by one of them.
Yeah, Lady Shiva, she is kind of there. It's like, oh, sweet, Lady Shiva's in it. And then she kind of gets like, oh, okay, they're not going to have a battle because Deathstroke's just like, I surrender, you can take me up there. You know, it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, and then later on, when she finally gets her battle, it's just like, oh, there goes Lady Shiva. Well, that sucks.
Greatest martial artist in the world, yeah.
Killed by a fucking 16-year-old homeless girl.
With a sword to the back of the neck when she wasn't looking.
Yeah, exactly. But I know overall though, like, I mean, I'm not saying it like it was like an amazing movie. I just thought like I had quite a bit of fun from beginning to end. You know, it was just like, you know, it was just like a solid action story. Like, no, you know, nothing like, it wasn't one of those Batman like gonna blow your fucking mind adventures or something like that. But it was just like kick-ass action, Deathstroke. You know, trying to, I'm Deathstroke and I'm trying to be a better father figure. My wife won't let me see the kids. The lady I banged in fucking, you know, Morocco won't let me see the kid, or wherever the fuck we were at. Oh, shit, I was on a Deathstroke trip.
At the same time, though, they every word in that is exposition. Like, there's very rarely just a casual conversation. Like, I'm in Morocco. Oh, you're in Morocco? Like the time you fucked that lady when you're on a business trip in Morocco? I was like a zoom in on his face. Like, you see him, you see her, they're fucking. Like, yeah, I'm in that Morocco. Well, don't do it again. I don't like it when you lie. Well, I'm not going to lie. You better not be lying, Slade Wilson. You better not be a hitman, too. Oh, no, I'm just a normal businessman. Okay, love you, honey. Love you, too. Bye. Mwah. Whatever. And then later, it's just like, you said you were done with your killing. You were just a normal businessman. That's why you...
it was business. Like, I mean, you know, killing is my business, and business is good. Just like that Megadeth song. They're writing about me. Come on.
It was just one of those things where I just...
Literally, when you married me and you took the name The Terminator as your last name, you didn't put two and two together. My first name is Deathstroke, last name's, you know, The Terminator. I know Slade Wilson's like, what, you know, people, that's not a real name. That's made up, you know what I mean? I write that down.
Sounds like a porn name.
I mean, it was used in, you know, 72, but, me and Green Arrow don't bring that up too often.
How do you think I lost this eye?
Yeah. He needed money. I needed money. It just sort of happened. It was the 70s.
I'm sad to say it wasn't an arrow.
Yeah, it wasn't an arrow.
Though Cupid was involved.
You know how that production value used to be? Oh, you don't? Well, maybe yeah, not worth bringing up.
I still kept the stash.
Yeah, after he shaved it off for some fucking new 52. Trying to get all youthful for the C-dub girls.
No, but like, I don't know. I just felt like I'm fine with a generic 80s action movie. And if you want to take elements of that and throw it in this, that's fine. But I feel like when it's a character like Deathstroke in the world of DC, I feel like there's so many more things you can do than just a generic action story, like a redemption story about a guy who's not even a good guy, and it ends with him trying to save the world. It's just like he'd be offering his services to whoever would. I mean, if somebody was trying to destroy the world and they were trying to spite him in the process, he would probably stop it for that reason, but not because it's the right thing to do, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I will say there was on the special features, they had fucking Marv Wolfman in there, the creator of Deathstroke, and he did kind of go like, he's like, well, I never saw Deathstroke as a villain, but I didn't see him as a good guy either. You know, I thought
I see.
It was funny, just like the way he was just describing. He's like, I don't know. He's like, it was a character I came up with in like 5 seconds of like walking out of my apartment one day.
And now he's on T-shirt. Well, go figure. he just regrets it.
You know? So it's like one of those ones because it's like, yeah, because it's like I always just picture Deathstroke being more like, I mean, and I think this is my other kind of theory too. It's because there's so many people out there that want the Batman who kills. And I feel like because people always want a Batman that kills, they start looking for creating a Batman in other characters, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Deathstroke is almost a perfect one. Be like, oh shit, he kills. Let's just like put a little bit of Batman in him.
Yeah.
Slade's just like, oh, what do you mean by put a little bit of Batman in me? Well, you're just gonna close your eyes and hold this rod real quick, and oh god.
So we all have to do it.
I love it also in this movie too. You can almost say like, I love it in the back. It says there's nudity in it. Like, well, what's the nudity? Oh, well, it's Slade.
His ass for a second.
Yeah, just him. I'm waiting for them just to finally just come out, just have like some fucking like just fucking Slade come out of the shower and just fucking his dong just swinging. I feel like that's really like the like
only a few years away from that probably.
Like DC, like as they've sort of progressed in these last 10 years of like going deeper and deeper into the R-rated. It's like, I feel like that's really almost like the last thing they need to do. They've pretty much got the violence down. We got the F-bombs. You know what I mean? You got like titties and some, and then it's like one of those ones. I just think you need a big fuck. You need like a Slade cock or like a, I mean, they're not going to probably do the bat cock.
Not anytime soon. They're probably going to do something. They're going to try something more on Deathstroke. But then at the same time, like, all right, we got to think of something where he doesn't pop up in a kid's cartoon. Because at the end of the day,
this is still a that would be an awkward place to like have Deathstroke come up as it's like fucking Teen Titans Go. Deathstroke comes out like, whoa, this was fucking rated PG, and all of a sudden, big floppy cock came out.
Well, think about it for a second. I mean, I know that comics have been way more violent over the years, but it's weird when you think about it that, like, the way Deathstroke kind of came, like, I'm not going to say he's as well known as something like Deadpool or Batman by this point, but the way he did probably come in more in the main zeitgeist is probably Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, and then later people saw Arrow. So if the idea of like, hey, you know that cartoon, like, oh, Mom, Dad, look, you know how like Teen Titans Go? There's a movie about this guy.
Yeah, well, that's the one, like, it seems like 10 years ago, if you that'd be the problem of trying to sell this movie, is that, like, it would fall into that category. Like, I like Teen Titans, here's a movie with a guy, with the villain of it. Oh, yeah. By the way, it's rated R. You know, like, nowadays, I think it's just gotten to the point where they just kind of realize they're like, kids don't fucking buy this shit. Like, it's people from the age of 25 to like 55 are the ones that are our target audience anymore.
They realize that. That's not the smart about DC is they kind of just realize that, you know what, people, we can make stories that the live action movies probably aren't going to do for a while. And on top of that, we could also, I mean, we probably have, cause, I mean, I want to say more adults, like more people in their late teens, early 20s were watching Batman the Animated Series than the intended audience, really. So.
Yeah, well, the one that, I mean, I've just kind of noticed, it just seems like youth, I mean, they might like the Marvel movies or something like that, but it's just like, comics has just become sort of like it's like a mid, generation type thing, or mid-age type, I was going to almost say middle age, but that makes it feel like that, but like, it's not really, it's like one of those weird things where it's not geared towards the youth, it's not really geared towards the senior citizens, it's just like this right down the dead center of life type thing.
They do that thing every so often where they try to bring the youth in. Yeah. And it just backfires because they do something like New Warriors. Like, how can we relate to the kids? They're saying that with hand motions, like bobbing and jumping around. Like, relate, doing that kind of shit. And then they're like, oh, I know. We'll make a character called Safe Space. People like political correctness now. Yeah, man, that's a good idea. I'm like, all right, good luck with that shit.
Yeah, get fucking Dan Jurgens in here. He hates kids. He's somehow good with them, but he hates them at the same time. I don't know whether he's confusing, but shit. Once again, though, I mean, like, this is sort of like the grand year for just getting all kinds of these DCU ones. I mean, get Deathstroke right now, get fucking a new Superman and a new Batman like in the next month. Like, you gotta do it.
Batman coming out?
Yeah, there's that Batman. Comes out in October. I can't remember what the fuck it's called, but it's the one you were telling me about.
One I was telling you about.
Yeah. It's a DCU one.
DCU one? I don't know. Well, maybe it got by me. But anyway, okay, cool. Well, I know we got Batman. I know we got Superman, Man of Tomorrow, probably within a week or two, or sometime. I think early September. So got that to look forward to. And going down DC stuff. And I'm not trying to like attack this thing. Like, I'm not expecting it to be like the Dark Knight Returns of animated movies. I don't know. Deathstroke's always an asshole. He's always a piece of shit to me. So what's harder than being a piece of shit? We already have Suicide Squad movies by this point.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them animated. 1 of them is rated R.
Yeah, yeah. I will say it's like, I think if you go into the Deathstroke movie and you sort of kind of accept it that like, okay, he's going to be a little bit of a softer Deathstroke, doesn't mean he's not going to kill a bunch of people brutally, but he's going to have, I guess, Deathstroke with a little bit more morals and so on. And if you go into it like that, I think you can really enjoy it, because it's one of those ones, like, I think it is just a fun, straight-up action movie. As I said, yeah, it's not like, I don't think it's one of those movies that's going to be like, oh shit, this is a legendary movie that you're going to fucking pull out, like, and put it on a fucking mantle and put incense around it and worship it like it's, the third coming of Buddha or something like that, but,
We offer our Lord our eyes. Oh shit, you didn't have to go that far.
But I think this is a straight-up, just a fun flick. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty solid the whole way through.
I was kind of meh about it as it sounded, but at the same time, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't really in love with it. So
yeah.
But going on to, I guess, the next thing, 3 Jokers. This is part of the 3-part Black Label, and this is something that they were trying to bring out for like almost 4 years, I think, and it was a plot point that was brought up, and then just because of Rebirth and then a bunch of events and other things, just kept on getting pushed back. Like, I guess it's never happening. Like, oh shit, it's here. How about that?
Yeah, I know, and it's written by Jeff Johns too, because I had no idea what I was getting into. You just said like, hey, grab this book. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just like, oh shit, it's a Jeff Johns story and everything like that. And I even love how the beginning almost starts out. This sounds weird because it's almost kind of a sad moment, but like all I thought was like, dude, this almost feels like an intro to like a drunk Batman.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's just like Batman's just like, oh shit, comes flying home in the Batmobile, fucking takes out his parents' graves, like, oh fuck, kind of stumbles inside the fucking house and whatnot, be like, Alfred, you gotta fix you gotta fix my parents' graves again. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's just like last week all over, but still, you know what I mean? Like, just like that Offspring song, you say you're gonna stop drinking, but then next weekend rolls around and it's never the last hangover.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, I just imagine just like after a while, because Alfred has to have be the most patient person alive. Like, not only do I have to like stitch him up every night
and
make him like a sandwich. Yeah, like make a sandwich and make him some tea or whatever, prepare a bath. I then got to go outside and frickin' clean up his parents' tombstone again.
Yeah.
It's not like we keep spares of those in the shed.
But I'm about 2 steps from doing that. Well, I will say that's why I've always kind of liked when like you saw it like in like the 90s. It seemed like there was almost like a team of people working at Batman's house, and I feel like that made a little bit more sense than Alfred doing everything. I just feel like there's just too much stuff to be done for just like one man in a sense, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of liked when like they got God, what's the mechanic guy's name?
Harold.
When you got Harold in there, it's like, okay, cool. Harold sort of takes care of all like the machines and the gadgets and so on like that, and even when you got like the Robins and everything in there, it feels like you can almost get more done. When it's just like Alfred, he's like taking care of not only a mansion, like not allowed to have fucking anybody else come and work with him. He's, you know what I mean? Can't have any subcontractor butlers in there.
He also needs time to like fix the water filter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It just feels like Alfred's doing everything fucking like,
and polish the teeth on the T-Rex.
Yeah, whip a toothbrush up there, you know what I mean?
So help me Christ, if you use anything other than a Crest brush, I will know.
It's that kind of thing that, like, let's be honest, like, can one man really take care of that much of a mansion, let alone and be a doctor, and fucking fix the computer, and hook up the Wi-Fi, and fucking repair the car, and fix the gravestones, and mow the lawn?
maybe there's some of that. I mean, I guess we'll never know because we're never going to join MI6. So there's that training we're never going to get. So maybe in that time you just learn really good time management skills. But yeah, well.
So there's just so much work that poor Alfred always has to go through.
But as he's sitting there, he's just having all these. He's getting fixed on just Batman's back, and his whole body is just fucked up with scars. And every scar we see, like, okay, that's Bane breaking his back. That's Riddler hurting Batman. That's him fighting Catwoman. And then there's one where he sees Joker, and then there's like a bunch where it's Joker. And then, of course, comes to, the mental wound of just, oh no, the parents dying again, in the alley.
just in case this is somebody's first Batman book.
Yeah, which I'm wondering, like, if there's something crucial here. Like, are they going to do, like, the 89 Batman movie? Because why show that for the 800th time right now, Because we already know, because they say, why he's saying that is it's the mental wounds that hurt the most or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, we know. We know.
Well, you know what I mean? Because I feel like when you got these Black Label books, it's like you're selling these ones. To me, seem like the hardcore of the hardcore Batman books, or DC books. Let's just say that. Like that feels like, I mean, you're using the biggest characters, I guess you can say, and maybe that might be a draw into maybe somebody's first comic book. But for the most part, I kind of assume that you're kind of selling it to the people that know, But
and then we cut to Barbara Gordon in the shower at the gym, like she's running real hard, listening to the news and getting angry, and she runs so much on this treadmill she breaks it. Then she's taking a shower and she's having a flashback to the Killing Joke, and then we cut to Red Robin fighting up some Joker goons.
I want to say this before you go any further.
Good.
I love when she has the flashback because she sees like a guy that almost looks like fucking Nedry from Jurassic Park wearing like the Joker like Hawaiian shirt thing on the TV. It's talking about, like, oh, you might have restless leg syndrome. But that's all I thought when I saw that one picture when it finally showed the guy on the TV. It's like, dude, it looks like fucking like Nedry right there.
Like, Joker killed Newman earlier today. He's like, not Newman, not Newman.
It's just like she destroyed. Which I was gonna say, it seems weird that these always seem like odd. It's like, could you imagine like Batgirl? Like, obviously she's breaking these treadmills. Like, they're probably like, I know that fucking Barbara Gordon is police commissioner's daughter, but we can't be letting her in here. That's like $5,000 a fucking treadmill every single time she breaks it. She's only paying $25 a month.
I'm saying the math does not add up. Let's be realistic here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid to say something. I've seen what she did to the punching bag, too, so I think it's sometimes it's best not to say something, but this is the 4th treadmill this month, so I think somebody needs to step in or we're going to be under.
Like this is all the company meeting is about, and like, I think this is something we should have the new kid tackle. You see some scrawny 16-year-old who goes there after school.
He's like, well, I just wiped down the benches. You're like, that's not all you're going to be wiping down.
And they just look out the window. She's once again just hitting the punching bag, just like not blinking, not even exhaling, just hitting it, like
shooting fucking stuffing out of it.
She just turns and looks at them, like locks eyes, like very intense, still not blinking. Like sweat rolls over her open eye. Like, we'll talk. We'll plan it. That's a tomorrow thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Still a tax write-off, those treadmills, I guess. Let's not worry too much right now. You know what I mean? God knows what PTSD she's, trying to recover from. All we know is she went to college. But then
she has a bullet hole where? Someone took a shower. Someone saw her in the shower room. She has a fucking bullet hole where? What the fuck? Yeah.
Through her spine, and she's walking around?
But no, she has that whole like flashback to the Killing Joke, and then she has a flash. Then we jump over to Red Robin fighting off a bunch of Joker goons. Oh, I said Red Robin. I meant Red Hood.
Yeah,
fighting off
Reds, Robins.
I guess I got confused because he has the hood, but he gets it knocked off, and he just has the domino mask for a second. So I'm thinking Red Robin, but no, Red Hood. So he knocks the fuck out of all these guys. They later go to a crime scene, and there's 3 guys dead there, made to look like the Joker, like they got their skin bleached and all that. Commissioner doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and I think it's kind of a smart idea for them to round in of all the people to focus, who knows as it goes on, but Batman, Jason Todd, and Barbara, just because, yeah, Dick Grayson has had some scrapes with Joker. Tim Drake did as well, but I feel like Batman, obviously, it's his arch nemesis, but Barbara and Jason have, like, he might as well be their main villain, too.
Yeah, well, it's one of those ones, like, these three characters make, like, total sense for, like, why they have the Joker, but I also think it's just an awesome kind of lineup. Just, like, those three, I feel, like, complement each other really well, too. Like, that's almost like an anime fucking, like, lineup. You know what I mean? You got the old wise one with fucking Batman, you got the young brash one with fucking Jason Todd, and then you got woman with Barbara.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Classic anime lineup.
And then once they get into, like, it turns out one of the Jokers they're interrogating is still alive, or one of the Jokers at the crime scene was still barely alive, and Jason starts beating the fuck out of him, like, Jason, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, well, even before Joker did this to him, he's still no victim. He, like, beat up his kid, this and that, and Batman's like, look, I don't like you beating up victims, but nice work. You got an early lead on this before we did, and this and that, and then. They show a Joker. They show there is a Joker driving a big semi truck through the woods, like with a big thing of Joker venom, or that bleach shit, and goes to this little cabin out in the woods. Now
looks like Evil Dead cabin.
Well, I'm not sure if this is this cabin for a fact, but there's this one story about what if Batman was out of the picture, would Joker still be Joker? And this was like I think 1 or 2 issue story, and I think it was somewhere in the 80s maybe. And Joker, like, Batman and Joker had this big fight. Joker had amnesia. Batman was, I think, recovering most of the time. And Joker was living a normal life, and he met a nice lady. And I want to say this might be that cabin. And for a minute, he's like living a happy life, but he slowly starts to slip into madness once Batman starts to come back into the picture and he starts to remember. Like, if he only avoided it.
It's like that part in, like, the Batman Ninja movie, too?
Kind of like that. Or even not as comical, but kind of like if you've seen season 2 of Harley Quinn on DC Universe, kind of like that, sort of. So, yeah, I think this might be the cabin from that story. I might be wrong there. And I think it ends, like, he's still kind of sad, because I want to say at some point the lady finds out, because it was a long time ago when I read it, but I want to say the lady finds out and says, I still love you, you're not the Joker, you're whatever name you said before. And then he slips, and he's sad for a minute, but he goes back to being Joker, and she's sad that he's gone, and Batman and Joker are back to doing what they do. So I think this might be that cabin, but I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, that would make sense. I do like when the trucker Joker comes in, he's got, like, the large Marge trucking hat on, like, from Pee Wee Herman. Yeah,
and we see there's I guess it's trying to figure out which Joker is which. There's obviously Killing Joker. Then there's that Joker you mentioned just now, the trucker Joker. And then there is, I think, who's supposed to be the original, like, 40s Joker. Because if you look at all three of them, I want to say 70s Joker, even to an extent 80s Joker, kind of had, like, more of a gimmick, more of a flamboyantness. You know what I mean? Like, back when Jason Todd died, that's when they had that whole thing. I know that kind of bleeds into Killing Joke, but I think there's still 2 different periods of Joker there.
Well, I think you go ahead.
He basically, because you remember he came in a costume, kind of like, look who's Iran's new prime minister or foreign ambassador, you know, or something. You know, he came in a whole getup, and he would always, you know, he's using a lot of, like, 70s tricks and stuff like that. And then Killing Joker was more just straight up serial killer. Like, from there on, like, I feel like that through more of the 90s is Killing Joker. And then this is 40s Joker, which is, I mean, he's just doing that pose he did in the first issue he appeared in.
Yeah, well, I think it's like what it's like almost supposed to be is almost like you have like modern Joker, classic Joker, and then it's almost like the turning point Joker is the Killing, joke one. And that's sort of like what these are. So you got like fun, like wisecracking, all the goofy gizmos and gadgets type Joker. and you can almost see then there's like serious serial killer Joker, and then there's just the total in between, which is like the shifting point is the Killing Joke one. And it's just it's interesting thinking of like who's going to be the real Joker, why is there 3 Jokers, all this kind of stuff.
Well, it's also one of those things of because people always say like they're trying to come up with an excuse for why he has these different personalities, why this and that. Like regardless of how good the story is, at the end of the day, it's going to be one guy. It's going to be like retcon to being one person. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen at the end of the day. Because, I mean, it's an interesting idea, but at the same time, it's one of these things of like, well, first off, the reason I was kind of like, I think maybe it's not so much strictly time or decades. Maybe it's just more of style of Joker. Maybe that's the way it is, because you said the gags thing. The reason I was thinking is like more 70s and 80s Joker is because that's where he was a bit more flamboyant, coming up with different costumes. He still does that every so often, but he was doing like the clownfish shit. He's throwing the razor cards, you know?
Well, that's what I think, is I almost feel like that Joker, the old-timey one, is kind of like 80s and back to like literally 40s like Joker. Like he's almost like everything kind of classic rolled into one, and then the other Joker is kind of like everything from like 90 till now. And then the Killing Joke one's just because that story's almost like has its own kind of unique Joker in its sense. It's just, boom, it's the centerpiece Joker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they even go to, I mean, I don't even know who this character is. I'm sure he's in some books. They probably just didn't make him up. There's like a little dwarf guy there named Dodgy or something like that. Or what was his name again?
I can't remember, but there's like, he's got like the best death in this entire book.
Yeah,
I remember I was laughing so hard when I got to that panel. I know it's a little bit farther in the book, but pretty much, just all of, like, Joker's kind of, like, goons, and there's, like, this aquarium that's somehow, some way being taken care of this whole time. That's all I thought about this. I was like, so there must be this staff that's in here, cleaning out the fish tanks and everything and making sure it's...
They're probably just chucking people in there for the fish to eat, because they're Joker fish, after all.
Yeah, but I still assume there's some guy that's got to go in there and scrub it up, and so like the Joker likes his aquarium, you know what I mean? Like, so you make sure it's in top tier condition here.
He's really a fish fanatic, and then they get in this fight with this. There's like this little like dwarf guy calling the shots, and then Red Hood shoots the glass, and then like this shark falls out.
Shark eats him.
Yeah, which that was a pretty awesome death.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I love how it's like. There's an entire page devoted to that death, too. And even there's, like, this picture of Batman's, like, punching the guy, and he almost has this look like he's looking up, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, when you surprise Batman, that's kind of a thing.
Well, it's also one of those things where they kind of go out of their way to... a lot of times, Batman's like, I work with Jason, but I don't like that he kills. Right here, he straight up kills this guy, but I think Batman's like... You know what? That guy was kind of an asshole anyway, so fuck him.
He's like, it's the classic maybe that. Well, I can't kill, but the boy too can kill.
I'm not gonna tell. I'm not gonna like make a thing of it. Yeah, he died. Whatever.
You know what?
Moving on.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a good father here, and I understand that Jason's different. You know what I mean? And he acts out emotionally, and sometimes I think it's just better to just let him do it. You know what I mean? If he has to kill, well, that's my boy. You go right ahead and you kill. You kill for daddy now.
That's my boy, but it's not Batman.
I mean, that's not the Batman way, but, I mean, like, if you kill too many people, I don't want you showing up at Thanksgiving, but,
Or at least sit at the kids' table.
Yeah, you could sit there with, fucking, with
Damien.
Duke and, let's see, Damien, yeah, who's the other kids? Tim gets mad at me when I put him at the kids' table. He says he's way too old for that now, but, he always a boy in my book.
If Superman comes over, his boy John sits over there, away from the humans.
Yeah, we sort of separate that. I mean, it's not like a, like classes type thing. It's just, I don't trust the boy. At some point, he's gonna explode. Just saying. You know what I mean?
But going forward from this, because they mentioned during all this shit that like, well, he's using some old ass tactics we haven't seen in a long time. So what's going on here? And they're trying to figure out because. The body's like, all right, so because they said something about the way the body goes through that chemical process that makes a Joker, it almost makes it impossible to identify who they are. So they don't even know really, like, wait, so is there more than one Joker? And this is where they're first bringing this up. And I like how they're stopping. By this point, I don't remember where Batman had to bounce somewhere. But
I think
by
Commissioner Gordon, he's like, yo, Batman, I got another Joker down here. And then Batman's like, I'm out of here. You kids handle this.
And that's where Red Hood and Barbara start talking to Joker. And this part is probably one of my favorite parts of it, where Joker just blatantly sums it up and says, here's the thing. He's like, yeah, I hurt you and I hurt you, not because I think of you as a threat, not because I think of you as important. It's because I know if I hurt you, it's going to hurt him. You could live, you could die. I don't give a shit either way. What I did to you means nothing to me, you know? And then Red Hood's just like, shut up, and shoots him.
Which, you know, if it's Batman, you had to know that probably was going to happen. You know what I mean? If you're just going to leave fucking Red Hood with the fucking Joker there and a gun in his hand, like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think they're going to do? Fucking, like, sit down and watch, like, fucking rom-coms or something like that? What the... You know what I mean? It's fucking Jason Todd. So I feel like Batman's like, you know what? Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, and
I think also
they blame me.
Batman almost knows that it's not the real Joker. I think Batman's like, yeah, I figured it out. It's not real Joker. It's just some phony. Clones aren't real people.
Well, right there, it's also one of those things of, because he's speaking personally to him, so it's somebody that at least knows their history. This right here, it's also going to come around to, like, Barbara throws a batarang at him and misses, and she's like, I can't believe you did it. Like, well, you wanted me to do it because you never missed before. And then she says, screw you, which this is their R-rated 17 and up book. She just said, fuck you, but whatever. And from there, he just says, I hope that was the right one. Then we're to be continued in the next book. Now,
I like he's just like, shit. Hope that was the right one. Been fucking looking forward to this day forever. Now I'm second guessing myself.
Now I gotta go kill each one of them to make sure. Well, I feel like, I don't know. I really like this so far, and I'm curious to see where it goes. But I feel like whatever ends up happening, at the end of the day, it's going to get boiled down to one person. Whether this story is like, there was 3 Jokers the whole time. There's going to be some cosmic event or something that erases everything and makes it one Joker. Because, you know, his origin always fluctuates, and there's that period where they're in near the end of New 52, they're making out to be like, wait, what if Joker is like older than Gotham itself? What if Joker is like the monster that lives under Gotham and Batman is what brought him out of hiding and everything else was bullshit? This is the real Joker, you know?
Mm-hmm. I remember that one almost felt like, oh, that seems like a little far-fetched kind of thing. Like, well, I like to just assume that, like, hey, here's this guy who's just almost in a sense one man, a lunatic, very skilled in odd, weird ways, you know, and that's just sort of how it is. Not like when it is some like weird thing like Batman fucking like awakened a demon like he was on a fucking Indiana Jones hunt, you know, type thing. It's kind of like.
Well, I like the idea of, I mean, I could see it being, I mean, 3 Jokers, I don't know, but I can see them trying to round that in there. Like, one of these is that Joker, the other 2, who knows what they're going to do, because for a while, that's what they're doing. He had the, like, 1940s cut where it's like, it's almost like the Pidgeotto cut, just all slicked back down and shaved sides.
Like he's ready for a World War II type, because that's what I always think of, like, that haircut.
Brad Pitt from Fury, basically.
Yeah, everybody in Fury, practically.
And then he was like in the black suit. So it's like that right there. I can kind of like, I can sort of see that one right there. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, regardless, I'm interested in the story and it was well written. The artwork's awesome. So I want to see where it goes. But I feel like whatever happens, it's going to be, whatever happens, it's going to be kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like, oh, well, it got rebooted or time erased or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, something like that will probably happen. But no, I was totally sold on it. I enjoyed it the whole way through. Thought it was fantastic. I mean, Jeff Johns pretty much always generally delivers, so like, you know you're in good faith there. Granted, a lot of other people don't like to listen to Jeff Johns because they just like put it like, okay, Jeff Johns, you can have your name on the movie credits, but go stand in that room there and wait for us to finish up. Wait for us movie people to finish working.
I don't know how much of it's true, but apparently, and I don't really want to speak so much on it because I have no idea because I wasn't there, but apparently there's all these rumors now that the reason why there's so much back and forth with trouble with Zack Snyder's Justice League and what the direction those movies was going is because producers and Jeff Johns are apparently meddling There's apparently a lot of things that he was supposed to like just. I'm not sure how much of it was like, you know, him, like Jeff Johns, or what they're saying, if they're just trying to pin it on somebody. But apparently it was Jeff Johns trying to like almost sabotage Zack Snyder's vision, and who knows if that's true or not. I don't know.
No, it's probably just like, I'm sick and tired of throwing this baseball against the wall every single time, you guys. Shit, I've been doing it since fucking Green Lantern. Like, can't I have the word on it?
I feel like if it was more of his word, it probably would have come out more concrete. But who knows? I honestly think it's not even Jeff. Who knows? We don't know. We weren't there. But I can honestly see it just being some execs in DC, like DC or Warner Brothers, more than Jeff Johns, really. You know?
Mm-hmm. Because, well, that's, I mean, it's like, you know, you read like almost any Jeff Johns book, and they're always just like super fun. They're like almost like, you know, they're like, you know, I would say held at that high regard of like DC books. You know, you could put it up there with like a Dennis O'Neil book. You could put it up there with like Greg Capullo. I mean, well, Greg Capullo as far as artwork, but I was thinking just like as the writers.
Scott Snyder,
and I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's just getting too late in the day, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like all those kind of guys, you can kind of put it up there and just like hold it high regards. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. As I said, I look forward to this Joker one. It's like, you know, I have a feeling that like these other Jokers are gonna be like some form of clones. Like they might not be like that, but like whether it be like an energy clone, whether it be some weird space thing, whether it be some underground, I feel like that's where it's gonna kind of come from. Like, you know.
And they haven't said yet. I don't think they said yet if this is canon or not. I think it's still kind of up in the air if this is canon, because I want to say even Last Night on Earth, that was not canon. That was them just having fun.
Yeah, well, and you know, my way of always saying it is, the way I look at canon is it's different for every single person. You sort of take your favorite Batman stories and you kind of piece them all together, and then that becomes your Batman, and that's your path that you can kind of take, and so on. You know, because who's to say? I feel like once something's kind of released, and if it was like your favorite story ever, and then someone's like, "Duh, that's not canon," I always feel like it's like, who's to say that? Unless maybe the original creator would say that. But, you know, we don't got any of those guys left, so. Those days are done. But yeah, no, totally awesome. Hopefully it doesn't take too long for, like, the next ones to come out. Because I remember, like, the Last Night on Earth, it was, like, the first one came out, and then, like, the next one came out, and then it was, like, 8 months later, like the final one came out.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like a Dark Knight 3, or even Dark Knight 4, which is still book 2 for that's still not out, and that came out in December.
Oh, God, I forgot about that. That's the thing, Frank Miller, I feel like he gets all, like, going, and then all of a sudden it's like, fucking done for them all. I'll get to it. Frank, you're not even fucking drawing it.
He could also just be sitting there watching, like, he could just be watching the news, trying to get inspiration. Could be doing that.
Yeah. It's like one of those ones, like, if Frank was drawing the books, I'd maybe say, okay, that's one thing. But it's like, dude, Frank, you're not even drawing the book nowadays. You're just fucking writing it and doing a variant cover. Like, come on.
Don't fucking rush me. Like, all right, Frank. Shit. All right.
Okay. But yeah, fun stuff there.
Throws fedora at you.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking like Odd Job. But all kinds of good DC stuff, with more DC stuff that always come, you know. So check out all that fun stuff. And go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, that's Pizza Boys with a Z, and all our other good stuff on there. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Sure, check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, animation, and a whole lot more. We also have the Old Man Orange blog going with all kinds of fun stuff. If you easily want to support the show, use one of our Amazon links either on the website or in the description of the podcast below. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show either on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Newgrounds, or anywhere else that you seem to get this podcast from. Grab the sitcom-styled comic book Pizza Boys on either Comic Central, Comixology, or Amazon. Want more podcasts? Check out the Indie Comics Club over at Comic Central. I also got a workout website called Thor's Hidden Gym, filled with fitness tips and tricks, videos, and a whole lot more fun stuff in the calisthenics world. Talk to us on Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes and Dunnigan Ryan. Like our Facebook pages of Old Man Orange Productions and Pizza Boys Comic. Thanks again, we're out of here.